hot ass tea. La 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 la. What's going on, people? I'm Garrett Jordan. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom. Let's get into it. Cowboy Bebop, the live action, has released it last Friday. Got a chance to finish it finally. And here's my thoughts. The show starts with John Chow, Mustafa Shakur, Danielle Pena. John Chow plays Spikespiegel, Mustafa plays Jet Black, and Danielle plays Faye Valentine. A rag crew of bounty hunters chase down the galaxy's most dangerous criminals that they save the world from the right price. And this is based off the, well, it's not infamous, very cultural phenomenon, Japanese animation of Cowboy Bebop that was released in '98 and '99. That was a fan favorite. I watched it when I was a kid. Didn't really get it at first. Was kind of boring to me. As an adult, watched it again, loved it ever since. And I thought it was a very unique anime. It was done by Shiicho Wanabe. If I'm saying it right, I may be saying his name wrong, I do apologize. But Wanabe created and drew the original Cowboy Bebop. I'm a fan of anime, and that's one of my top 10 favorite animes to watch. It was very unique and very different for the time, and then it was just such ahead of its time with everything that was doing. From my understanding, this whole process of them doing the live action has been on the run for a long time. I think Keanu Reeves was involved in it at one point in time, and he couldn't get the finances. He wanted to play Spikespiegel. Netflix was like, you know what? Anime is such a huge thing. Let's go ahead and do it. And Netflix, not like y'all haven't failed before doing anime with Death Note. Y'all forgot about that one, right? But I guess they acquired the rights to Death Note and this at the same time. So the show's basically, it's the same premise as the anime. Spikespiegel, Jet Black, bounty hunters. They just changed a lot. They didn't change as much. They changed a few things from the original anime. They made Faye Valentine a bounty hunter in this one, which in an anime she wasn't. She was like just a drifter who was conning people and taking their money and stuff like that. It's the same concept as the original one, that just changed and alternate the stories a little bit. But let's get into the show itself. The show, and they kept everything the same. Yoko Kuno was the composer for this one, like she was in the original anime. And if you're a fan of the anime, as I am, and as in, you know, people who love anime, I think that's an anime you should watch because it was so ahead of its time. The concept of the first one is that each of them have their own past, and they somewhat mix together. It's about, the whole concept of the show is about being lost and trying to find yourself through whatever it is you're going through in life. And the show was a love letter to American cinema because it has so much into it. Just like this show is, it got Western, it got space opera, it has the Quentin Tarantino vibe of it. It has everything. It has martial art. It has everything you need to make it successful. Now, the show is, if you've seen the original one, is about Spikespiegel is the main character, and there's a past behind Spike that the show goes through and tells about, and then it's a past behind his co-partner Jet Black that has a past as well, and Faye Valentine. Each one have a past behind them, and the show goes into each of their pasts and how they all intersect with each other. And each of their pasts is pretty dark and pretty grim. Spike used to be part of the Syndicate, a very dangerous mob group that used to take out and order hits, and that's what he did. and his used to be friend Vicious, who tried to take Spike out, finds out that Spike is alive and tried to take him back. And also Vicious has Spike's girl, who was Vicious' girl in the show, but in the anime, I don't think Julia, I haven't seen the anime in a minute, but I don't think Julia was with Vicious at all. But that's somewhat of it. And then Faye Valentine is like 70, 80 years old. She's been cryo sleep for a long period of time, and she busts out and have no memory of who she is, and she tries to find out who she is through the process of the show. And Jet Black's character is an ex-cop who was framed for something he didn't do, lost everything, lost his arm, lost his family. This show actually showed that he has a family. And he tried to figure out who the person that set him up. So like I said, the show showed a lot that the anime didn't do. They changed a lot of stuff around in the show. And you know, let's get into it with the actors. John Cho playing Spike Spiegel. I don't think he was the best choice to play Spike, but he did the best that he could. I don't know why they chose him to play Spike Spiegel. I think I get why, cultural appropriation, but he looks nothing like Spike Spiegel at all. He didn't act like Spike Spiegel. He was acting like a totally different person, but he's an actor. They're all actors. They all bring their own interpretation into what's already a story that's already been told. I didn't go in to expect him to be 100% accurate being Spike Spiegel, but he did the best he could. Danielle Pena, who played Faye Valentine, she was great. She was very charismatic, very annoying, loudmouth, just like how Faye Valentine was in the cartoon. Can hold her own, can take care of herself in the show. So she was cool. And Mustafa Shakur playing Jet Black, he was pitch perfect as Jet Black. He sounded like him, he looked like him. Mustafa Shakur, I want to see him do a lot more. He was good as Bushmaster in Luke Cage, so I want to see more of him. The guy that played Vicious, he was good, even though I felt like he had a headache after each take he did, because he looked like he was about to bust a blood vessel and everything he did in the show. The actors did the best they could, but those two, Danielle Pena and Mustafa Shakur, to me, stole the show as far as accuracy for the characters that was in the anime. And the set design piece, some of the CGI was a little cheesy, but that was okay. The setting, how it looked, how it felt, it looks really good. Netflix put a lot of money behind this. They didn't say how much, but they put a lot of money behind this. And as a fan of the original anime, I went into this not expecting a masterpiece or to be perfect. I went into this with closed blindness, thinking like, hey, this is gonna be their interpretation of what was already done. I think a lot of us go into these reboots and stuff expecting it to be exactly like how it was. And we have to get past the point that, hey, we gotta go into this with an open mind and kind of seeing it for what it is. It was their interpretation of the anime show. They pulled things from the anime show and made it their own and changed some things around. And at the end, you'll see the changes. I'm not gonna say what it is, but there's a main character that caused the conflict between Spike and Vicious that changed. And I'm all for it. Is it great? No. Is it decent and something to watch? Yeah. I think if you haven't seen the anime and you haven't watched it never, I think some people will enjoy this. It's a little cheesy in the beginning part of it. The only problem is that they did change a lot, and they added things that may not have needed to be added in the show. And some of the fight sequences are a little cheesy. I could tell John Cho don't know any martial arts at all. This is all fight choreographed. And if y'all were gonna do that, y'all might as well have shaky cam him. But there was one sequence where he looked like he knew some stuff, when they just did this one take shot of him fighting a bunch of people, that was pretty cool. I like this sequence. But the rest of it, the first one, that may have been because I think he injured himself and it took like 4 months for him to get back into doing the role, and then maybe they ran out of time and so he had to fit in what he could. So maybe the first half of the show, that's what we got. I don't know, but it looked very choreographic. It didn't look like he just knew how to fight. But because some actors can't make that believable and some can't, you know. Matt Damon playing Jason Bourne, he made it believable, even though that shaky cam the hell out of him. But when I looked at some of the behind scenes, he looked like he knew some stuff. But and like I said, some of the CGI was a little cheesy. Did we need a live adaptation Cowboy Bebop? I didn't think we did, because the anime was so good, so well put together, so thought provoking. It probably didn't need to be touched. I know a lot of people was like, man, what would they do with a live action version of this? I didn't think we needed one. Some things don't need a live action version. Do y'all remember Dragon Ball Z? That was terrible. And then not to mention Death Note, that was produced by Netflix too, which was not good. But don't worry, Netflix, I didn't like the anime anyway, so didn't really care. I wanted to see what they were gonna do with it, but I didn't care too much about the anime anyway. Akira, fuck this shit, man. And it was fine though. It had like some jazz and blues. It had some different things in there. If you never seen the anime, you may like this show. If you have, if you go into it, look, if you go into this thinking that it's gonna be exactly like the anime, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't watch it. But if you go on there and thinking like, hey, this is their interpretation of the show, of the anime, let's see what we're gonna get. And then you may like it, you may not like it. But you definitely gotta go into this as an open mind, because it is not faithful. It has stuff from the original anime, but it's not nothing like the original anime. It's its own thing. And I think that's what the goal they were trying to go with this show. The actors, only ones who I saw run the same vibe to from the anime was Mustafa Shakur, which I saw some of the interviews. He said he loved the anime, so he wanted to stay faithful to the character, and I salute him for that. He's a great actor. I really want to see a little bit more of him in some stuff outside of Netflix. And Danielle Pena, she had her own interpretation of Fate Valentine, but it wasn't exactly like Fate Valentine, but it was still good though. It was still entertaining to watch her. She had her own thing. She was her own individual person, had her own mind. But like I said, there were things in the show they added in. I didn't think that was necessary. But there was some stuff that was kind of like a cool little change up. Like, okay, that's a cool little change up. So if they did do a season 2, we already know what the build-up is gonna be about. And I don't know if it's gonna get a season 2. It's not looking good on the reviews. And I can understand why. It's a lot thrown together, but the original one was like that too. It had a lot of different variables from a lot of different genres added into it. But the original one had heart, it had soul, it had build-up into it. It was a different, I never seen an anime that had so much depth into it. Cowboy Bebop is in my top 10 anime. But I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. When Nobi did Samurai Champloo too, I like Samurai Champloo more than I like Cowboy Bebop. So anyway, Cowboy Bebop, I think it's worth the watch. It's a C. It's a C. Like I said, you get character, you get backstory from the character, you get some nostalgia feels to it. It shows some things that was in the original stuff, but it's its own thing though. So if you're a fan of the original and you don't want to see it messed up, then don't even watch it. Just stick with the anime. But if you just want to check it out and see what it's about, check it out. It's on Netflix. I'm Garrett Jordan. This is my review on Cowboy Bebop. I give it a C. Go check it out. I'm out.